You also mentioned that you're a singer-songwriter, yet you released an EP exclusively with covers. Why was that?
That was the cover record was sort of a way to, as a promotional tool, to just say these are free. There was free songs, so like I wasn't, I didn't want to give my music away for free, but I could maybe make some covers and introduce people to my music, and then hopefully they would come back and buy the record. That was the idea behind that. Because I've actually since taken that off of the internet. I think the recordings are too old and they're sort of lo-fi.
Well, looking back at, after producing the pieces, how do you look back at those EPs then?
I mean, I look back I look fondly on I can remember the time recording those albums. But also I feel like I've learned from it. My first album was an EP called Fall in Line, and made it really cheap at the university studio, and I can almost not even listen to it just because I know how far hopefully that I've come since there. It's like looking back at just not even feeling embarrassed. I can still sell that music and feel good about it, but it's just a totally different thing than this new album pieces that we got into a studio. The budget was a little bit higher, working with a real a great seasoned producer. It's just a totally different thing.
But also, was there a change in musical development? Say, what did you learn from that period up to pieces?
There was a lot to learn. First of all, I've learned a lot musically. I think since then, I've tried to broaden my horizon a little bit. I've learned a lot about recording. Starting fresh, never having recorded an album. You learn so much about different techniques and the lingo and just how to say stuff, how to watch a Pro Tools session and really understand what's going on, and try to ask for what you want, what you hear, and communicate it in a way that the engineer is going to understand. So, it took a couple of records for me to really internalize all of that, and then making this new album, I could sit in the studio and tell both the musicians and the engineer my vision.
Well, there's still one cover on the record. It's Death Cab for Cuties. I will follow you into the dark. Why did you pick that song?
I've always thought that song was really beautiful. It's a love song, but you wouldn't necessarily know it right off. It's not your basic love song. It's a really beautiful way to tell someone you love them. I will follow you into the dark. And the Death Cab for Cutie version is, so the way they do it is so great that I'm not pretending like my version does it any justice. But I have this reharmonization of the chords, maybe a little bit darker version because theirs is a little bit more upbeat and major sounding, so sort of bring it down a little bit, bring a different side to the song was the idea behind it.
Well, what different side did you want to bring to the song?
Well, the different side, because I feel like you listen to their version and it's a happy song. It's like love of mine, someday you will die, with the nice acoustic guitar behind it. But then when you bring it down, bring some darker chords to it, I don't think it doesn't change the meaning in a way, but it just maybe evokes a different sort of emotion out of the tune.
Is that what you wanted? Well,
that was what I was going for.
And what emotion was it that you wanted to evoke?
I think melancholy would be the way that I would describe how I feel playing that song. It's just like a really melancholy, a happy sad, like you feel. It's an interesting emotion because you feel bad at the same time that you feel really enlightened. It's like it almost hurts, but like it's a good hurt.
Okay, well, that happy sad. Maybe I'm right in assuming this, but when I listen to your record, on the one hand, was it about a breakup, and then, as you say in Gone, turning over a new leaf and being happy, or?
That, what, I actually wrote that song before I knew I was going through a breakup, and then the breakup followed.
It's like a premonition.
A few months, it was a little bit of a premonition, yeah. I mean, and everyone has that moment where you think to yourself, you know, gosh, if I could just up and leave right now, you know, if I could just drive out of this city, if I could just go and start a new life somewhere, maybe that would be the answer. And I don't necessarily think it's an educated decision. Like, I think it's just on a whim, you just leave. And I don't think it's necessarily a good decision very often, but you have it. And even the guy, I'm not necessarily writing from my own perspective in that song. I'm just sort of a guy who has no idea what he's doing. It's like, sort of just like floating around in his life. And like, it's like, well, I guess I've been here for a few years. I guess I'll leave and go somewhere else, you know?
So the songs aren't necessarily autobiographical?
No, well, I would say most of them are not. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are about my life, some of them are about lives of my friends, some of them are invented people, you know, persona writing, sort of thing.
So how does the songwriting process then occur? Because as you say, it could be your experiences, but also the experience of others. How does something like that click?
I think I'm one of those people that likes to bottle their emotions up.
Why?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you why. It's just something I've always had. I have trouble expressing things with, like, just in everyday conversation. You know, if I feel something strongly, my first reaction is to sort of hold on to it. And sometimes you can't. That's not exactly a very healthy way to deal with it. But the way that it comes out for me is every few months I'll just like write a song. And it'll sort of be how I'm feeling at that moment. And it's worked so far. It's sort of a mysterious process, honestly. You know, if I write a song in 30 minutes, that's usually about the right time it takes to write a song that I'm proud of. If it takes me more than like a few hours or a few days, it's usually not. I usually throw out that song because it took too long. It was too much meddling, too much changing. Like, it doesn't flow very well.
So you need that pureness of emotion, say, to get the song out?
I do, yeah. I think everyone writes differently, but for me, that's what's worked so far. I would like to be able to just sit down and write whenever I want. That would be actually very convenient because I would have more material. I would have more freedom. I wouldn't worry that I'll never write another song again.
Do you worry about that?
Sure. I worry about that until I write the next song. I don't know when, you never know when it'll be. So it's certainly something that's on my mind.